My dear students, let us commence the class with an awesome morning. Today we are going to deal with the competency of 8.6 regarding the signal transduction and mechanism of action of hormones. For this competency, the base book is Boran and the reference book is Bernheim-Levy. Imagine a child who has just found a piece of colored glass. He enjoys looking at everything around through the glass because he is fascinated by the new colorful look of familiar objects. Probably in the same way, Robert Hooke was trying to see every object around under the new microscope. One of these objects happened to be a piece of cork. Hooke was fascinated by its architecture consisting of neat little compartments. He likened each of these compartments to a room and therefore called them cells. Even single-cell organisms must respond to environmental challenges which necessitated the development of signal transduction mechanisms. The evolution of multicellular organisms required the evolution of cell-to-cell communication within the organism to coordinate between the cell activities ranging from induction of embryonic development to the integration of physiological responses. Coming to the historical aspect of today's competency, Ernest Henry Starling was the first to use the term hormone. In Greek word, hormein means to execute or to arouse. Besides his law of the heart, Starling discovered the functional significance of serum proteins. Along with Baylis, Starling demonstrated that secretin stimulates pancreatic secretion. Along with E.B. Burney, Starling demonstrated the reabsorption of water by the tubules of the kidney. The biological functions of the multicellular living organisms are very well coordinated. This coordination is achieved by two main control systems. They are nervous system and the endocrine system. Nervous system is principally related with functions of the body in external and internal environment. The nervous system coordinates the body functions through transmission of electrochemical impulses via nerve fibers. Both these systems, endocrine and nervous systems, coordinate complex body functions. The classic distinction between these two is that the endocrine system communicates to distant tissues through blood-carried chemicals, while the nervous system communicates to adjacent tissues by local chemical release. That means the nervous system exerts point-to-point control through nerves, similar to sending messages by conventional telephone. Nervous control is electrical in nature and very fast. The next communication system is endocrine system. Endocrine system is mainly concerned with different metabolic functions of the body, especially the chemical reactions and transport of various substances. The endocrine functions are accomplished through a wide range of chemical messengers, the hormones. Endocrine system broadcasts hormonal messages to essentially all cells by secretion into blood and extracellular fluid. Like a radio broadcast, it requires a receiver, that is nothing but a receptor, for the hormone being broadcast in order to respond. Whatever the hormones that are secreted travel via the bloodstream to target cells. General definition for hormone. In classic definition by Starling and Baylis, The hormones are chemical substances produced by specialized tissues and secreted into blood, in which they are carried to target organs and triggers specific biological functions. The limits of classic definition are they need specialized tissues for hormone synthesis, blood for hormone distribution, and a separate target organ. In broader definition, a hormone is a chemical, non-nutrient, intercellular messenger that is effective at micromolar concentrations or less with high efficiency. The chemical messengers which perform hormonal functions are defined as endocrine hormones, neurocrine hormones, paracrine hormones, and autocrine hormones. Coming to endocrine hormones, these are the chemical messengers whose function is the transmission of molecular signal from a classic endocrinal cell through the bloodstream to a distant target cell. Neurocrine hormones. Here, nervous communication involves the release of chemical messengers from nerve terminals. They may reach their target cells via one of three routes. Number one is as neurotransmitters. Number two is neural signals. Number three is neurohormones. Coming to neurotransmitters, they can be released directly into the intracellular space, cross the synaptic junction, and inhibit or activate the postsynaptic cell. The best example is acetylcholine and norepinephrine. Number second route is neural signals. These neural signals can be transferred via gap junction, which is a membrane stabilization between the nerve cells, between nerve terminals and endocrine cells, and between endocrine cells. The third route is as neurohormones or peptides, which are released from a neurosecretory neuron into the bloodstream and then carried to distant target cell. The best example of such neuroendocrine substances are oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. The effector sites of neurohormones are not always endocrine cells. Paracrine hormones. These are chemical messengers which, after getting secreted by a cell, are carried over short distance by diffusion through the interstitial spaces, that is the extracellular fluid, to act on the neighboring different cell type as or a regulatory substance. The best example is islets of Langerhans. Somatostatin secreted by delta cells acts on the alpha and beta cells. Autocrine hormones are the chemical messengers which regulate the activity of neighboring similar type of cells. Examples of autocrine hormones are prostaglandins. The two primary communication systems, the nervous system and the endocrine system, serve as a biological communication network for integration of the organism's response to a changing environment. Many nervous system functions are mediated by hormones, and the endocrine system is regulated to a large degree by the nervous system. Together, the nervous and endocrine systems institute alterations in metabolism, behavior, and development to conform to internal and external environmental demands. Communication of the hormones. It is important to note that according to the route by which it is transmitted, the same chemical messenger may act as endocrinal hormone or as a paracrine hormone or as an autocrine hormone. The best example is insulin secreted by the beta cells in the pancreatic islets may act as endocrine hormone, paracrine hormone and as an autocrine hormone. Now insulin as an endocrine hormone, when it is released into the bloodstream, insulin acts on the adipose tissue, muscle, liver and brain to regulate energy stores, carbohydrate, fat and protein metabolism. Insulin as a paracrine hormone, when it is released into islets interstitial fluid, it inhibits the neighboring alpha cells of the islets. Insulin as an autocrine hormone, when it is released in the islets interstitial fluid, it can regulate the growth and function of beta cells themselves as they possess insulin receptors. The endocrine system is a collection of glands whose function is to regulate multiple organs within the body to meet the growth and reproductive needs of the organism and to respond to fluctuations within the internal environment, including various types of stress. The endocrine system comprises the major glands. They are endocrine tissues of the pancreas, parathyroid glands, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland and the gonads, ovaries in female and testes in male. These endocrine glands, they synthesize and secrete bioactive hormones, and with the exception of gonads which perform both endocrine and gametogenic functions, are dedicated to hormone production. A transitory organ, the placenta, also performs a major endocrine function. In addition to the dedicated endocrine glands, there are endocrine cells within the organs whose primary function is not endocrine. These include cells within the heart that produce atrial natriuretic peptide, liver cells that produce insulin-like growth factor IGF-1, and cells within the kidney that produce erythropoietin, and the numerous cell types within the gastrointestinal tract that produce gastrointestinal hormones. There are also existing of collection of cell bodies, these are nothing but the nuclei within the hypothalamus that secrete peptides called neurohormones into the capillaries associated with the pituitary gland. A third subset of endocrine system is represented by the numerous cell types that express intracellular enzymes, ectoenzymes, or secreted enzymes that modify inactive precursors or less active hormones into highly active hormones. The best example is the generation of angiotensin II from the inactive polypeptide angiotensinogen by two subsequent proteolytic cleavages. And another best example is the activation of vitamin D by two subsequent hydroxylation reactions in the liver and kidney to produce the highly bioactive hormone 1,25-dihydroxy vitamin D. Classification of hormones. Hormones are classified into two categories depending upon the chemical nature and depending upon the mechanism of action. The chemical nature of hormone determines how it is synthesized, stored and released, how it is transported in blood, its biological half-life and mode of clearance, and its cellular mechanism of action. Depending on chemical nature, hormones are further classified into amines and amino acid derivatives. Examples are catecholamines, epinephrine and norepinephrine, thyroxine T4 and triiodothyronine T3. Proteins and polypeptides are further divided into short-chain polypeptides and long-chain polypeptides. Short-chain polypeptides include posterior pituitary hormones, example ADH and oxytocin. Long-chain polypeptides include insulin, glucagon, parathormone, and other anti-pituitary hormones. And the third one is steroid hormones, which are derived from cholesterol. The examples are glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, sex steroids, and vitamin D. Depending upon the mechanism of action, hormones are divided into group 1 hormones and group 2 hormones. Group 1 hormones act by binding to intracellular receptor and mediate their actions via formation of a hormone receptor complex. The examples are steroid hormones, retinoid hormones, and thyroid hormones. Group 2 hormones involve second messengers to mediate their effect. Depending on the chemical nature of second messengers, group 2 hormones are further divided into subgroups A, B, C and D. A cell is a target because it has a specific receptor for the hormone. Most hormones circulate in blood, coming into contact with essentially all cells. A given hormone usually affects only a limited number of cells, which are called target cells. A target cell responds to a hormone because it bears receptors for the hormone. Receptor characteristics. What is a receptor? Receptor is a protein made by the target cell by protein synthesis after gene expression. Receptor is a protein that is made then inserted into the plasma membrane or found in cytoplasm or nucleoplasm. It is the active site on the protein that fits the hormone. Receptor acts to convert the signal into a response. All hormones act through specific receptors. Almost all hormone receptors are large proteins present in hormone-sensitive target cells. The receptor characteristics are receptor specificity that defines tissue selectivity and response. There are specific receptors for each hormone. This is the reason that all hormones circulate to all parts of the body, yet each hormone has specific target tissue for its action. Receptor location. Depending on the location, receptors are of two types: internal receptors and external receptors. Internal receptors are located inside the cells. For example, the receptors for steroid hormones and thyroid hormones that are localized within the nucleus of target cells. External receptors are located on the plasma membrane of target cells. Example, peptide and protein hormones, amines and prostaglandins that are interspersed within the phospholipid bilayer of plasma membrane. And next characteristic feature is the receptor affinity. This refers to the degree of attraction between the hormone and receptor and is measured from the speed of hormone binding by the receptor. Next characteristic feature is receptor capacity. This refers to the quantity of hormone binding. Receptor density approximately 10 to the power of 4 to 10 to the power of 5 receptors exist on the surface of a polypeptide hormone target cell and about 3 into 10 to the power of 3 to 10 to the power of 4 intracellular receptors exist for steroid target cell. Membrane receptors are present on cell membrane. They are having the receptors for amine, protein and peptides. Whereas the nuclear receptors are present within the cell. These are the receptors for steroid and thyroid hormones. The other characteristic feature of receptors is the spare receptors or reserve receptors. A maximum physiological response of a target cell is observed even when the concentration of hormone is lower than required to occupy all of the receptors on that cell. Therefore, most of the receptors are referred to as spare receptors. The other characteristic feature of receptor is change in the receptor number. Number of receptors of a cell vary depending upon the situation. It is regulated by two mechanisms. One is down regulation and the other one is up regulation. Down regulation refers to decrease in the number of active receptors to regulate the hormone sensitivity when it is present in excess. Example, elevated ambient insulin concentration causes a loss or inactivation of insulin receptors in liver cells, fat cells and white blood cells. Upregulation refers to increase in the number of active receptors on a cell. It occurs to regulate the hormone action when its concentration is less. This phenomena tends to reduce the effect of hormone deficiency. Categories of membrane receptors. Soluble chemical signals interact with target cells via binding to surface or intracellular receptors. The extracellular signaling molecules, as we have discussed, amines, peptides and proteins, steroids and other small molecules, to act as a signal, it must bind to a receptor. Most receptors are proteins on the cell surface or within the cell that specifically bind a signaling molecule, the ligand, and induce a cellular response by interacting with an effector. In some cases, the receptor is itself the effector, as in ligand-gated ion channels that alter transmembrane ion conductance in response to an extracellular signal. In most cases, interaction of the ligand with its receptor results in association of the receptor with one or more intracellular effector molecules that in turn initiate the cellular response. Effectors include enzymes, channels, transport proteins, contractile elements, and transcription factors. The ability of a cell or tissue to respond to a specific signal is dictated by the complement of receptors it possesses and by the chain of intracellular reactions that are initiated by the binding of any one ligand to its receptors. Receptors can be divided into 5 categories on the basis of their mechanisms of signal transduction. They are receptor kinases, receptor linked kinases, G protein coupled receptors, ligand gated ion channels, and the receptors that undergo cleavage. Components of membrane receptors. Membrane receptors are having mainly three components. They are an extracellular domain, a transmembrane domain, and intracellular domain. Extracellular domain binds the hormone. Transmembrane domain anchors it in the membrane. Intracellular domain couples the receptor to an intracellular signaling system. Receptor kinases are the membrane receptors that contain enzyme activity. Example is receptors for insulin hormone that contain tyrosine or serine kinase as an intrinsic part of structure. Receptor linked kinases, they have no intrinsic enzyme activity. Example, receptors for growth hormone, prolactin and cytokines. The peptide and biogenic amines act through second messengers. The release of second messengers is mediated by GTP binding proteins, also called G proteins. G proteins are named for their ability to bind guanosine nucleotides. They are having three subunits: alpha subunit, beta subunit and gamma subunit. In the inactive state, the alpha, beta and gamma subunits of G proteins, they form a complex that binds to GDP guanosine diphosphate on the alpha subunit. When the ligand, the messenger or first messenger or hormone binds to the extracellular part of a receptor, the conformational change occurs in the receptor that activates the G proteins and induces intracellular signals that produces opening or closure of the ion channels to produce a response. Coupling by G protein, hormone binds to a specific receptor protein causes a conformational change so that the inactive G protein has become active G protein. This will cause the activation of the inactive enzyme, and the active enzyme is now able to catalyze a reaction. Some typical enzymes activated by G proteins produce second messengers that activate other classes of inactive enzymes. The G protein now contains GDP but not GTP. So, it cannot immediately activate another enzyme. If the hormone is still present, the G protein can be activated again. G protein coupled receptors are also known as 7-transmembrane domain receptors or 7-transmembrane receptors or serpentine receptors or G protein linked receptors. They are called 7-transmembrane receptors as they pass through the cell membrane 7 times. When the signal molecule binds the receptor, there is a conformational change and the GTP displaces the GDP, which activates the G protein, and the newly activated G protein migrates along the cell membrane, resulting in opening of calcium channels. Thereby the calcium ions enter inside the cell. After transduction, G protein functions as a GTPase and hydrolyzes the bound GTP, which causes a phosphate group to fall off. This regenerates GDP and inactivates the G protein, and the cycle repeats. Ligand-gated ion channels act as receptors for neurotransmitters, example acetylcholine, GABA and glycine. Receptors that undergo cleavage. In response to ligand binding, some transmembrane proteins undergo regulated intramembranous proteolysis RIP, which liberates one or more fragments of their cytosolic domain that signal a cellular response by entering the nucleus to modulate gene expression. General characteristics of hormone action. One is specific action, that means one hormone, one target, like one key and one lock. Next is messenger effect. It serves as a first messenger, high efficiency, and interaction is in the form of coordination, confrontation, and permissive action. Mechanism of action of hormones. Hormones act through specific receptors that define tissue selectivity and response. Membrane receptor mediated hormones elicit rapid cellular responses, whereas nuclear receptor mediated hormones elicit slow, long-lasting cellular responses. Receptors for amine, protein, and peptide hormones are located on the cell membrane, while those for steroid and thyroid hormones are within the cell. Steroid and thyroid hormones act through nuclear receptors that stimulate gene expression. The main mechanisms of action of hormone are action through change in membrane permeability, action through effect on gene expression by binding of hormones with intracellular receptors, action through second messengers which activate intracellular enzymes when hormones combine with membrane receptors through second messenger system. They are adenylyl cyclase cyclic AMP system, guanylyl cyclase cyclic GMP system, membrane phospholipase inositol triphosphate IP3 system, and calcium chylomodulin system. And the other mechanism of action of hormones is through tyrosine kinase activation. Mechanism of action of hormones through change in membrane permeability. Certain hormones bind with the receptors present in the cell membrane and cause conformational change in the protein of the receptors. This results into either opening or closing of the ion channels such as sodium channel, potassium channel, and calcium channels. Examples are adrenaline and noradrenaline. Mechanism of action of hormones through effect on gene expression by binding of hormones with intracellular receptors. Examples are steroid hormones, thyroid hormones, and retinoids. These hormones are lipophilic in nature and can easily pass across the cell membrane. They act through intracellular receptors located either in the cytosol or in the nucleus. The sequence of events are: the steroid hormone passes through the plasma membrane and inside the target cell, the steroid hormone binds to the receptor, resulting in the formation of hormone receptor complex. This hormone receptor complex enters the nucleus and binds to DNA, causing gene transcription. Thereby, there will be the induction of protein synthesis. This results in the formation of new proteins. In this way, the new proteins that are formed will result in specific responses. Some of the new proteins synthesized are enzymes. Cyclic AMP system was the first to be described by Sutherland in 1961 that initiated the concept of second messenger. The steps involved in cyclic AMP system are: number 1, binding of hormone to a specific receptor in the cell membrane. Number 2 is activation of G protein. After formation of hormone receptor complex, the GDP is released from the G protein and is replaced by GTP, that is, the G protein is activated. Number 3 is activation of enzyme adenylyl cyclase. The hormone receptor complex via the activated G protein either stimulates or inhibits the enzyme adenylyl cyclase, which is located in the plasma membrane. Number 4 is formation of cyclic AMP. The cyclic AMP converts the inactive protein kinase A to active protein kinase A, which phosphorylates proteins. Actions of cyclic AMP. The cyclic AMP, once formed, stimulates a cascade of enzyme activation. One molecule of cyclic AMP may stimulate many enzymes. Cyclic AMP activates the protein kinase A, which phosphorylates the specific proteins, producing highly specific physiological actions. They are: increase in cell permeability, increase in the synthesis of enzyme system, activation of enzymes present in the cell, release of hormones from storage packed cells, and gene regulation. Guanyl cyclase CGMP system. It includes atrial natriuretic factor ANF and nitric oxide. Synthesis of cyclic GMP is analogous to formation of cyclic AMP. Enzyme guanylate cyclase produces CGMP from GTP. This CGMP exerts its biochemical response through enzyme protein kinase G. This protein kinase G, when activated, initiates a cascade of subsequent enzyme activations. That is the characteristics of this signaling system. The best example of CGMP system is the mechanism of action of vasodilatation. In this, the endothelial nitric oxide synthase is getting activated, resulting in the synthesis of nitric oxide and also the synthesis of cyclic GMP, leading to activation of protein kinase G, resulting in vasodilatation. CGMP system: when the light falls on the rhodopsin in retina, it will activate the G protein called transducin. This G protein further activates CGMP phosphodiesterase. This causes decreased intracellular CGMP levels. This results in closure of sodium channels. A hyperpolarization will cause decreased release of synaptic neurotransmitter. Membrane phospholipid system or IP3 mechanism. The steps involved in this system are: hormone binds to a receptor in the plasma membrane. The hormone receptor complex via G protein activates the membrane enzyme phospholipase C. Activated phospholipase C then releases diacylglycerol and inositol triphosphate from membrane phospholipid. This IP3 then mobilizes calcium from the endoplasmic reticulum. Calcium and diacylglycerol together activate protein kinase C. Activated protein kinase C phosphorylates proteins and causes specific physiological actions. When the first messenger hormone or neurotransmitter binds to the receptor, then the second messenger is generated. The second messengers that are released are IP3 and DAG. Calcium is also one of the second messengers. Increase in the calcium levels are caused by binding of some hormones or some signal molecules. They can send the signals by activating calcium binding proteins. The rise in the calcium level in the cell occurs from the parts within the cell, such as the endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria, through IP3-DAG and through the cyclic AMP dependent phosphorylation calcium channels. The second messengers IP3 and DAG are produced from PIP2. The PIP and PIP2 are produced by the phosphorylation of phosphatidyl inositol. PIP2 gets hydrolyzed by phospholipase C into IP3 and DAG. IP3 is hydrophilic in nature, so it diffuses into the cell, whereas DAG is lipophilic, that's why it remains in the cell membrane. IP3 binds the calcium channels in the endoplasmic reticulum and sarcoplasmic reticulum in muscle. Calcium calmodulin system. Calcium binds to a specific binding protein called calmodulin, resulting in the formation of calcium calmodulin complex. The different calcium calmodulin complexes activate or deactivate various calcium dependent enzymes producing different physiological actions. The various steps involved in calcium calmodulin system are: the hormone binds to a specific receptor in the plasma membrane. The hormone receptor complex via the G protein opens the calcium channels on the cell membrane and also activates the mobilization of calcium bound to the endoplasmic reticulum. The calcium is mobilized through the IP3 and DAG also. The calcium now that is released binds to a specific binding protein called calmodulin. The calcium calmodulin complex will activate the protein kinase C, which phosphorylates the protein, resulting in different physiological responses in the cell such as contraction, metabolism, transport and secretion. Mechanism of action of hormones via tyrosine kinase activation. Certain hormones act by activating tyrosine kinase system. This mechanism of signal generation from plasma membrane receptors does not require G protein. These receptors have an extracellular hormone binding portion, a single transmembrane portion and an intracytoplasmic C-terminal portion. Here we are having two mechanisms. The first one is the hormone receptors possessing intrinsic tyrosine activity. The best examples are insulin and epidermal growth factor. In this, binding of hormone exposes the sites that are capable of receptor autophosphorylation. Thereby, the receptor itself becomes a tyrosine kinase and the activity sets into motion a cascade of events resulting in enzyme activation and gene transcription. Hormone receptors that do not possess intrinsic tyrosine activity. The best examples are growth hormone, prolactin releasing hormone, and cytokines. Here, the hormone binding to extracellular portion of the receptor changes its intracytoplasmic tail. The changes produced in intracytoplasmic tail of the receptor exposes sites which attract and dock the intracytoplasmic tyrosine kinases such as JAK kinases and STAT kinases and then activates them. The activated intracytoplasmic tyrosine kinases phosphorylate cytoplasmic substrates such as transcription factor proteins and ultimately modulate gene expression. JAK-STAT pathway. JAK means Janus kinase, STAT means signal transducer and activator of transcription. The sequence of events involved in action of hormone are: number 1, recognition of signal by its receptor. Number 2, transduction of extracellular message into intracellular signal or second messenger. Number 3, transmission of second messenger signal to effector. Number 4, modulation of the effector. Number 5, response of cell to initial stimulus. Number 6, termination of response by feedback mechanisms at all levels of signaling pathways. Thank you for your attention.